Hello everyone, welcome back to Jurassic World Evolution. This is part 2 of my Jurassic World Era Challenge Mode on Isla Nublar, the one that came with the default version of the game, and this is Jurassic Difficulty. We're picking up right where we left off, and this is about 2 hours of gameplay footage. But I've sped it up so that the length of this video is just a little over 50 minutes. We will slow down occasionally. Right now it's at 300% speed. But when a storm comes through, it's only at like 200%. And then when a new dinosaur is added to the park, I change it to normal speed so we can at least have little checkpoints spread throughout the video when a new dinosaur is released. Speaking of storms, by the way, it's been a while since I've played Jurassic Challenge Mode, and we are at 1 star pretty much this whole video until the very end when we do reach 2 stars. And I had several storms, but no tornadoes. I don't recall. Perhaps they updated the game in the past so that you don't have tornadoes until after 1 star, or maybe I just got really lucky. So anyway, as you can see right there, I just applied the ×3 dig yield, and for the rest of this video, I think there's only one time where money is kind of in short supply, and I think it's right around now, actually, because I just spent money for that Ceratosaurus, and I'm a little low on contracts and fossils at the moment. But once you get the ×3 dig yield, the money is not as big of a concern as long as you are constantly sending out your dig teams. The thing that can stop your playthroughs are A, not being able to fit the proper dinosaurs, B, having a storm or disease just completely derail any progress you're making, and C, let's see, I think it's mainly the really bad storms and diseases that are a huge problem. The other thing is if your playthrough is starting to take too long, you're gonna run into your initial wave of dinosaurs start dying out, and then it's hard to keep up with the dinosaur demand because you're having to replenish the dinosaurs that died off while also introducing new dinosaurs, and it's hard to make any sort of progress with your rating. But here's our first storm. I wasn't really anticipating a twister, but it was just a thunderstorm. It damaged quite a few things, if I remember correctly, and I'm pretty sure I built 2 storm defense stations during this playthrough, one by the facilities area and one by the Main Street area. And that's always nice because I think it even gives you earlier warnings for storms, so you have more time to have people go into the shelter after you've hit the alarm. Yeah, I don't know if you caught a glimpse of that, but that pathway that snakes along the far left of the island is kind of a goofy issue because visitors will just kind of auto-populate that pathway, even though there's no in-game reason for why they would be traveling over there. That's one fault in the design of having the facilities way in the back with this island. It's pretty easy to get around it. All I need to do really is just put maybe 1 or 2 guest shelters along that pathway, but in theory, if a dinosaur broke out during a storm, all of those guests could be easy pickings because there's no visitor shelter anywhere near that back pathway at this point in time. So for now, I'm going to let some music play in the background, and I believe our next species is coming up right around the 8.5-ish minute mark. So I'll check in with y'all then. See ya in a bit. Alright, wow, the timing. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but it's currently storming outside. So I figured it would add ambience to the recording. But our first new species for part 2 is the Sinoceratops. So it's gonna join the Triceratops in our ceratopsid enclosure. Typically, I like to have Triceratops, Sinoceratops, and Styracosaurus in there, which is what happens in this part 2. Styracosaurus is kind of picky. I think it tolerates only like 14 population, which is a little annoying. That one's the limiting factor. It's either 14 total or 15. But So yeah, Styracosaurus joins that crew toward the end. As you can see here, once you get to 1 star, I like to get dig yield right away because that's gonna really help with the money problem. And then after that, if I haven't had a disease pop up, I like to grab a second research team. And then I like to start grabbing the diseases right away, especially, the game actually tells you which diseases some of the dinosaurs are uniquely susceptible to. So, like, I think Ceratosaurus is like Campylobacter, Triceratops is hookworm, and let's see, I want to say Huangosaurus was bracken poisoning, so you can actually kind of target which diseases you need to get first. So one thing I did want to note, especially now that I've already played this and I'm recording a commentary afterwards, in the first episode I talked about the importance of having a plan going into Jurassic Challenge Mode. So I did have, and currently still have a plan for what I want the island to look like. What I didn't have a concrete plan of was where each dinosaur was going to go. Toward the end of this video, you'll notice that I have several genomes at like 100% or near 100% that I'm not using yet because I just didn't know where I wanted to put them. Specifically, Chunkingosaurus and Huangosaurus. I don't even hatch them in this video because I didn't know where I wanted to put them. I know where I'm gonna have them now, but it unfortunately probably prolonged getting the 2 stars and made this playthrough a little longer than it would have been otherwise. So, but one of the best things about these playthroughs, if you're watching and trying to make your own Jurassic Difficulty Park, is these playthroughs show you exactly what you're going to need in order to reach each star rating. Because for me, I actually thought I was going to reach 2 stars way earlier, and I ended up having to research a few additional dinosaurs in order to even reach 2 stars. So that's certainly something to take note of, is not only like what your park structure is going to look like, but where you're going to put each dinosaur as you unlock them. Alright, I believe we have a storm coming up, and shortly after that we have a couple more dinosaurs joining the roster. So remember, it's always good practice to save your game when you hear the storm warning pop up. And I'll see y'all in a little bit. Okay, I'm back just in time to welcome the real Triceratops to the park. This is the Jurassic Park era default skin Triceratops. I think you could reasonably make the case that the Triceratops needed the Jurassic Park cosmetic upgrade the most of all the dinosaurs. Probably Stegosaurus with a close second. The T-Rex ones look really good too. Actually, no. Maybe you could say Velociraptor needed it the most. The original Velociraptor skins in this when the game first came out were pretty bland, and now you've got like every raptor skin you could possibly want is in the game without mods. So anyway, at this point, I think this is when I started realizing, okay, I need quite a few more dinosaurs to get to 2 stars than what I was originally thinking. This is also around the time when I realized, in the previous video I threw out the idea of not using Dilophosaurus, and as you'll see, I do use Dilophosaurus, and there's a couple of reasons. One, it's a default dinosaur that is very good for challenge mode, so if you're someone who's watching these videos for help with your challenge mode park, like, Dilophosaurus has to be part of it to try to make sure that you beat the challenge mode. And 2, that's, I don't know, it's not like a game-breaking thing or anything like that. It's just a easy-to-maintain dinosaur that has quite a few points that you get pretty early on. Nothing too crazy about it. Looks like it's new dino time, so let's head on over to greet our newest dinosaur.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are happy to announce that the Cretaceous herbivore, Corythosaurus, is now on display in the park.
Alright, welcome to Corythosaurus. We need at least 2 of them for them to be happy. One quick thing I do want to clarify about the Dilophosaurus is you do sort of need the Dr. Wu DLC for it to be an easily manageable dinosaur. The stress inhibitor gene makes it so that if you just put on one of those, it only slightly decreases the dino rating, and it makes it so the Dilophosaurus won't try to break out unless there's like an abnormally long storm, which is pretty rare. So anyway, that's why it's a easier to maintain dinosaur. As you can see here, I'm preparing for our next dinosaur, which is going to be the Ankylosaurus. They don't need a lot of space, and they like to kind of be solitary, so the smaller enclosure near the hotel is always kind of where I like to put them. Yeah, and if possible, I try to put in either Crichtonsaurus or Dracorex with the Ankylosaurus, because neither of them need a lot of space, and they both have very low population thresholds. Right now it looks like we've got another bout of disease. Thankfully I've already researched everything that I can. This one wasn't too bad because it was just the 2 Ceratosaurus, I think. I'm sure by the end of this playthrough we'll have a pretty troublesome disease outbreak that I'll want to stop and talk about. Here's our next dinosaur, Ankylosaurus.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to announce the arrival of our latest attraction, Ankylosaurus. this shy, reclusive herbivore is guaranteed to delight nature lovers. Please enjoy.
Alright, welcome to Ankylosaurus, one of my personal favorite dinosaurs. I always like to think that if the darn kids and their hamster ball weren't in the way, that the Ankylosauruses would have been able to take on and beat the Indominus Rex. That's kind of something, if you ever notice, if they ever want to show that a dinosaur is tough, or not just a dinosaur, anything in particular, you can think of like in movies, if they want to show that a person or a creature is tough, they have it fight and win against something that is known to be tough right away and have it win, even if it's through slightly unfair circumstances, to show the audience that this is a tough thing we've introduced you to. But anyway, Ankylosaurus got the Jurassic Park 3 skin. Not here, I haven't unlocked those yet. Which is really cool. It's one of my favorites, and you only see it in the movie for like 5 seconds. But they gave it like this like shark soulless, completely void eyeballs. Anyway, so that's a little bit of a detractor, I suppose. There's been a few people commenting about doing Camp Cretaceous builds, and I actually haven't watched that yet. I need to watch it. I've seen that it's gotten pretty good reviews and people seem to really like it, which is awesome. Got another storm going on here, so we're saving because that's the smart thing to do. But I know there's a cute little green Ankylosaurus in the show, and its name's Bumpy or something. So it's neat to see Ankylosaurus finally get some spotlight in the franchise. It's always been one of my favorite dinosaurs. As you can see, no tornadoes again, kind of. What's funny is tornadoes can actually be less bad than a normal storm, depending on where it comes through. It can obviously be exponentially worse than a normal storm as well, if it goes through the wrong spots. The other part that's really bad with tornadoes is if the dinosaurs get intermingled. A lot of times in Jurassic Challenge Mode, you're trying to maximize your exhibits. So if you have intermingling of dinosaurs, even if they're all herbivores, they're going to start freaking out because now their population is all screwed up because there's probably too many dinosaurs in their area, and they're going to start trying to break out. And because you're trying to save money and because you're trying to save money, you probably have the lowest quality fences or the lowest security fences for your herbivores, and they can break out. So it's a perfect domino effect, as Dr. Malcolm would put it. That's one thing that this game, I think, does a great job of capturing, is how one small mistake or one small unplanned for thing can avalanche out of control very quickly. And it's also one of the things that I enjoy about these Jurassic Park builders way more than other types of park builders, like a roller coaster or a zoo. Like in the zoo, there's always the chance that the animal might break out, but like in this game, the dinosaurs breaking out is a core pillar of the gameplay, and it feels like much more of a threat that you have to constantly contend with, as opposed to like in Planet Zoo or like in the old Zoo Tycoons. If the animals got out, nothing too crazy would happen, and like they'll have, I mean, there's like literally the vet uses this little toy looking trank gun in Planet Zoo, I think, and then they just get teleported into a box. Like, it looks cool and everything, but I just enjoy the danger and the risk associated with the dinosaur parks, and how much more consequences there are for poorly managing your park or having some sort of weather event trigger all these dominoes to fall into place. Anyway, that was kind of a long spiel. I think we've got a few more. We've got Dilophosaurus, and then Iguanodon is the dinosaur that actually gets us over to 2 stars. So I'll check in with y'all once we release our next species. wanted to hop in and chat for a bit here, because I remember this is the first storm and disease combo that we run into, and it is quite annoying. So I think the disease happened first, so I jumped into the Ranger Jeep, and when I was in the middle of trying to concentrate and shoot these Struthiomimus, that's when the storm bulletin approached. So that's why I needed to pause and save the game just in case the storm was too big of a problem or if we had a bad tornado. Thankfully it's not a tornado, but as you can see, I was really struggling to land these shots. Sometimes when I'm using this dart rifle, I can't miss, and then other times I just feel like I might as well just turn it over to the auto ranger to do the job. I will say that upgrading the accuracy does noticeably help, but overall one of the best things that you can do to make this easier for yourself and the computer ranger is to try to not oversaturate the trees brush. So what I mean by that is not having the trees be so thick that the Jeep can't get through them or that the Jeep gets stuck. But that's all I've got for now. I'm gonna turn it back over to the JPOG music, especially since there's another storm on its way soon, and I'll chat with y'all once we release our first Dilophosaurus.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to announce that the Jurassic predator, Dilophosaurus, is now on display. Please enjoy.
Alright, welcome Dilophosaurus to the park. as you can see, I almost always combine Ceratosaurus with Dilophosaurus in a large enclosure. You can actually technically put a sauropod in there as well, except for the Nigersaurus, and they will all happily coexist. The only issue that you can run into is that the Dilophosauruses will panic near the Ceratosaurus, so you kind of have to space out your water and food sources so that the Dilophosauruses don't become stressed and malnourished because they're being constantly panicked and chased around by the Ceratosauruses. It's kind of annoying because sometimes it seems like the Ceratosaurus purposely try to run into them. It's kind of goofy. But other than that, that's a very high dinosaur rating combo exhibit that you can use, and I've used that in almost all of my Jurassic difficulty playthroughs. Alright, storm number, I don't know, 4 or 5, we're good to go. I'm pretty convinced that perhaps you no longer get tornadoes at 1 star, maybe, or else I just got really lucky in this instance. But now is time to, once we cure this Ankylosaurus, it's time to welcome our newest dinosaur to the park, the Styracosaurus.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to announce the arrival of our newest attraction, the spiky Cretaceous herbivore, Styracosaurus. Please enjoy.
Okay, so it was right around here where between the Dilophosaurus and the Styracosaurus, I thought that I would have been at 2 stars, and because of that, I was a little ill-prepared, and I didn't really have a plan for what dinosaur I wanted to release next. So there's like about a half hour or so of gameplay. It's much faster here because it's being sped up, where I'm kind of like debating which dinosaur I want to have next, if I want to build a new enclosure now, and I ultimately decided on adding the Iguanodon to the Struthiomimus hadrosaur exhibit, because worst case scenario I can just move the Iguanodon later if I want. But ideally what I would have done next here is I probably should have had a Stegosaur exhibit on the way or already in production, so I could have start loading that up with Huangosaurus and Chunkingosaurus, but unfortunately I kind of wasn't mentally prepared to not be at 2 stars, so it took a little longer than I would have liked, but at least now y'all know what you need to get to 2 stars. So really, that's about it for episode 2. I'm going to let the rest of the gameplay play out for you all. Right at the end is when we release a few Iguanodon, and that pushes us over to 2 stars. So I hope y'all enjoyed part 2 of this playthrough. In part 3, we're going to be loading up on sauropods as much as we can, and maybe even a couple larger carnivores. So I hope to see you all in part 3, and have a good one.